Yes, the fabled Premier League intro tune. Hope you enjoyed that, because this is the 2020-2021 Premier League season preview show here on Complaints and Observations. I got such a negative amount of feedback from the reboot preview show that I did a couple months back that I just had to come back again with a season preview just to annoy pretty much everybody that I know. So here I am. This is hastily thrown together. I will not be running through each and every club as I did the last time. I was not correct with my top 6 prediction. I think I had Sheffield finishing. I think I had Sheffield finishing 5th, but I can't remember. Either way, very excited. Season starts tomorrow, which is the 12th of September, and so a lot of movement, a lot of changes for pretty much every single club in the league, with the exception of West Ham. All subtractions, no additions, because we are owned by 2 gentlemen who are just dumb. There's really no other way to put it. The ownership of the club is pretty bad, so it sort of trickles down, and it shows because we're shit. And if we happen to make it through this particular year and manage to stay up, I will be shocked. Absolutely shocked. So, without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Last season's champions, Liverpool. Good for them. Not the biggest fans of that particular club for a number of different reasons, but I love the manager. I've said this 1,000 times before. Jurgen Klopp. Love the guy. I think he's a tremendous manager, a tremendous leader of men, I would imagine. I obviously don't know for sure because not in the room, so I don't know. But I would imagine that he is a tremendous leader of men. Plus, he has a very positive outlook on life. He doesn't take it too seriously. He takes it serious enough, but not too seriously. So, I do not see Liverpool repeating. I do think that the top 4 this coming year is going to be very tight. Not like this season where the difference between the champion and the 4th place club, Chelsea, was 33 fucking points. I don't see that happening again. 1, Chelsea's gotten much better. 2, Man United's gotten much better. And 3, Man City is going to win the league this year. That is a devastating club. Absolutely. They're a fucking wrecking ball. Missteps here and there. Missteps at the beginning of last season that really kind of fucking screwed them. But, they scored 102 goals last year. They only gave up 35. They had far and away the best goal difference in the league. Far and away the best. They were plus 67. It's unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. So that's what leads me to believe that. Plus, they're swimming in cash. So with the transfer window not closing for another month. Actually, let me see when that closes. When does that close? This is how ill-prepared I was with this. This is the most exciting portion of the program that nobody's fucking listened to anyway. This is mainly for me. October 16th. Oh, a domestic only window. So you can only, there's only movement. All right. So the actual deadline day is October 5th. Premier League, along with the English Football League, has extended that by 11 days to October 16th to allow for movement amongst English clubs. Well, there's 8,000 English clubs, so I'm sure there's going to be a ton of movement after the 5th of October. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But so, Man City is the best club. Yeah, very well could be the best club on the planet. I don't really know, but let's see. They already had probably the best club on the planet prior to this window, but they've brought in players. I just again, this is how pathetically ill prepared I wasn't going to do it, and then this morning I was invited to the Banshee in Dorchester to watch football, and so here I am trying to do a preview show that I am woefully ill prepared for. Eh, boy. They did sign Nathan Ackey from Bournemouth. He's a defender, good player. So I don't think he's going to start. I think he's going to be a bench guy, and they gave him it's a 41 million pound fucking deal. But we'll see. I mean, he'll get plenty of time with them, but it's just one of those things that okay, this team is already good, so now they're just basically filling spots. Whereas, other clubs down the table are going to have to spend a lot more time and effort on building a club. But they also lost Leroy Sané, who went to Bayern Munich, and David Silva left. He went back to Spain. So it'll be very interesting to see, what they do. But I think they'll be, like I said, I think they'll be just fine. And again, there's still another fucking month. So my assumption is that a lot of clubs are going to get better, especially clubs that have money to spend, which there are only a few. I shouldn't say that there's like 5, which is usually how it goes. Like, for example, Liverpool's only signed one player, Kostas Tsimikas from Olympiacos, a backup left back. That's it. Then again, they haven't really lost anybody either. They let Adam Lallana go. He went to Brighton. Nathaniel Klein, who basically is available on a free for anybody who wants him, but it is what it is. So they haven't really done much. So it's very curious to see how that goes. Other teams in the top 6, if you will, that's Man United. They've only brought in one player thus far, Donny van de Beek, great name, from Ajax, who apparently the manager there at United, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I'm probably mispronouncing his name. I do it all the time. But anyways, apparently he's been infatuated with this kid for a long time. Because the first time he saw him play was when he was managing in Norway, Molde, I believe the name of the club is pronounced. I'm not sure. But anyways, Van de Beek scored a goal in that game and also headbutted the center back for Molde. Just headbutted him for some reason. They didn't really get into why, but that's what happened. He headbutted him, and ever since, Solskjaer has been smitten with Van de Beek, if you will. I thought that going into the restart last year, that Man United was probably the club best suited to move up. in the standings, and they did. So they finished third. And I think they're going to be better than their third place finish this year. I'm convinced of it. They could challenge to finish second. But like I said, I mean, I don't see anybody finishing ahead of Man City this year. I really don't. Chelsea has a chance to be better, but I fucking hate Chelsea, so I could care less. But I mean, they brought in Timo Werner from Leipzig. Ben Chilwell from Leicester came over. Thiago Silva on a free. And then the other kid whose name I'm going to butcher this kid's name, from Bayern Leverkusen, Kai Havertz. Butchered name. But I mean, they're spending money out the fucking ass. And apparently, recently they just brought in the goalie Mendy. From where the fuck did he play? I don't even know. But anywho, so I mean, they're just getting better, and apparently they're going to dabble in Declan Rice, in which case I will be very upset. But you know, who knows? The other thing with Chelsea is just having Christian Pulisic on that club is painful. But you know, Pulisic is so fun to watch. He is so fucking fun to watch. So it'll be. It sucks to see him score goals for that club because I hate them so much. But you know, you can't do anything but you know be happy to see him play well, because it just reflects well on the United States men's national team, which I'm sure will find a way to fuck that whole thing up. I mean, the planet is currently littered with American players moving all over the place. Barcelona, PSG, Juventus, Chelsea. It's unreal. Like, if they don't fucking do well in the next World Cup, it's going to be a really goddamn disappointment. They have to qualify first, but it'd be a real goddamn disappointment if they don't do well. I think it's 2022. Yeah, 2022. So, be very interesting. Anyways, Chelsea, all they're doing is adding players all over the place. They're going to be very good. They're going to challenge United to finish second in the league. And look, if things break well for Chelsea, it wouldn't surprise me if they kept it pretty tight with City for the majority of the season, because they didn't really lose any. I mean, they lost Willian, who went to Arsenal, and Pedro, who went to Italy, but impact players, not really. Bunch of kids on loan, but all they're doing is just fucking signing studs all over the place. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. So, but seriously though, fuck Chelsea, and also fuck Spurs. But they didn't do a ton, with the exception of bringing in the immortal Joe Hart. Why? I don't know. And apparently I'm not alone in why. I'm not sure. He's just, unfortunately, he's not good anymore. But yeah, puzzling. They also brought in Pierre-Emile Højbjerg from Southampton. Good player. So I'd be curious to see what they do. They're going to implode, though, just because their manager is a tool shed. I mean, Jose Mourinho, interesting fella, but just kind of a meh. You know what I mean? They lost, they let Jan Vertonghen go, and Kyle Walker-Peters, who went to Southampton. So, interesting. They also loaned Troy Parrott, the English kid striker, to Millwall. But fuck Millwall. Apparently, I'm obligated to say that just because I'm a West Ham fan. So, fuck Millwall. Yeah. I mean, fuck Spurs anyways, just because, I don't really like Spurs. And Chelsea, same thing. It's a London thing, You know what I mean, right? But, yeah. So, there you go. Um, Leicester. Leicester finished fifth, and it really struggled for most of the restart. The last 5 games of the season, 1-3, no good. I mean, they had a chance to finish fourth, and they didn't. I mean, Chelsea lost 2 games in the last 5, so it was tough to see Leicester not put up more of a fight, if you will. But I mean, they haven't done anything really either. So they've lost players. They signed some kid from Atalanta whose name eludes me at the moment, but they haven't done much. They lost Ben Chilwell, so now they have a bit of a hole. But it'll be curious to see what they do. Good manager. Brendan Rodgers is a good manager, and he had them playing pretty well right up until the last, say, 6 or 7 games of the restart, which bumped them out of the Champions League play. So now they have to play Europa League. So it'll be curious to see how they play. I don't see them finishing in the top 5 because I really think Arsenal's going to play pretty well. I don't think Arsenal's going to suck nearly as bad as they should. They have brought in a fucking boatload of players on free transfers, a couple of loans, a lot of players that they brought in. So plus they've re-signed Aubameyang, so it'll be, he'll be happy at the very least, right? But they should be better. They should be better. I don't expect them to be great, but they should be better. Whereas Wolves should be fine. They're going to be Wolves, but I think that team was just gassed more than anything else because they played a lot of football, a lot. And but they didn't bring in any world beaters. They brought in Fabio Silva from Porto. So it'll be interesting to see how he fits. Very, very young kid. But it'll be interesting to see, how he fits with the club. But that's it. They haven't really made any moves again, but there's so much time left. So, I mean, this is a very sort of preemptive, preview here. So, there's really nobody else of interest. I mean, Newcastle's going to get better. Basically because they've raided the regulated teams. They signed Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser from Bournemouth and Jamal Lewis from Norwich. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Like I said, they should be better. Do I think they're going to be tremendous? No. I think some of the clubs that are coming up, like Leeds. Leeds spent a ton of money as well to bring in a bunch of players. They should be okay. West Brom. The thing with West Brom is that they kept or signed on permanent deals 2 players that they brought in on loan. Mateus Pereira from Sporting Lisbon, who was apparently voted like their fans' choice player of the year. And of course, Grady Diangana, who did not want to leave West Ham for some weird-ass reason, but West Ham sold him anyway. So now is a good time to dive deep into the depression that is West Ham United. Pretty bubbles everywhere, huh? Isn't that a great song? It's depressing as fuck, which really fits as the theme, if you will, uh, for my beloved Hammers, West Ham United. So it has been a tumultuous off season. Tumultuous, I think, is a sound way to describe the club as a whole in its current state. The ownership group is what's the best way to put it? Out of touch, perhaps. You've got two guys who've made their money in a number of different ways, but mainly as purveyors of dildos, which is always entertaining. That the club that I chose and have since fallen in love with is owned by dildo pushers. The famed English or UK-based website annsummers.com. Take a look. It's essentially the UK version of Adam and Eve for those dildo purchasers here in America. I'm sure you're quite familiar. Perverts. So they're not, they're not the most in touch bunch. If you look at it from strictly a business sort of point of view, owning a Premier League club is wildly profitable. I mean, absurdly profitable. So the whole goal, really, is stay up, don't get relegated, sell out your stadium, and you'll be swimming in cash. And look, that's what these guys have managed to do. Over the course of the last, I think 7 or 8 years that they've owned the club. So, look, if we're going to be honest, I mean, you can't fault them for that. Like, they're doing what they want to do to make money because it's a business. And unfortunately, there's a lot of I have learned that, English football is a very, very parochial thing where you're born into a fandom. And unlike here in America, where there are numerous distractions for sports, there are very few in England. So, there are rabid supporters of these clubs. I mean, absurdly rabid supporters. Like, I'm a fan, I'm a supporter, and I love the club. But these people make me look like fucking chopped liver. I mean, it's ridiculous. And being relatively new supporter to the club, I don't have that same sort of attachment to the history of the team. So I don't really, I'm not married to them like some of the other lifelong supporters are, where it's passed down from generation to generation to generation. I mean, 120 years, 125 years of history with the club. That's how long they've been around. So it's much, much different. So the attachment is huge. So that it's hard to sort of separate the fandom with the business side of things. So a lot of longtime supporters have a very difficult time sort of wrapping their head around the fact that the ownership, they own the team not because they're fans. They own the team because they know it's a gigantic moneymaker, and they're making a ton of money. Once you sort of separate those two, you get a better understanding of who these people are that own the team. But at the same time, I mean, you can still make a ton of money by having a better fucking product on the field. Yet they do just enough to stay up, which is something that I've realized more and more over the course of, say, the last 3 years. The last season that they had at the Bowling Ground, where they owned the building. It was a storied building, a historic building, if you will, in the lore of English football. They own the club. They own the stadium. I apologize. Well, they left after their best season in decades. They finished 10th. No, they finished 7th. I'm sorry. They finished 7th. What am I saying? And it's been all downhill since then. They let Dimitri Payet go, who was, I shouldn't say they let him go, but it was tumultuous, if you will. Probably the best way to put it. But it was the best. It was the best goddamn season they've had in forever. I mean, it was terrific. Yeah, 7th. Man, oh man. Here we go. 25th. Yeah, 7th. 4 points out of 5th. 2 points ahead of Liverpool. 12 points ahead of Chelsea. It was a magical season. I mean, they had a fucking positive goal differential, plus 14, which never happens. But I mean, look, the club was much, much better. Much, much better. And Dimitri Payet obviously that kid was a world-class player. World-class. Could have been a fucking legend if he stuck around, but he was homesick. He went back to France. So fuck that guy. But now here we are. I got off track there. I'm sorry. But now here we are. And this season does not look good. Now, if they manage to keep things together, they should be good enough to finish pretty much where they finished last year, which was 15th. There is no reason for them to finish lower than that unless the whole fucking thing implodes. The big fucking albatross in the room is Declan Rice, who is a top quality midfielder. I mean, he's a world-class midfielder. He starts at central defense for the English national team. He's very good. He's smart. He knows what he's doing. He's getting better offensively. And he's worth a ton of money. Chelsea's been sniffing around for the last 2 years now, so it's just a matter of time before he's gone. But to me, you got to hold on to him for this season. Once the season's over, then you can sell him. But if you have any sort of design on staying up this year, you have to hold on to him because there's nothing to replace him with. And I don't care what I'm reading today that Chelsea's preparing a 45 million pound offer. Not enough. You need to fucking double that. Well, not double it, but you got to put a price on him, and it has to be at least 70 million minimum. Because you have to make a play to either keep him this year or get enough that you can improve your club significantly enough to stay up. And thus far, they haven't done it. The fact that they stayed up last year allowed them to keep Thomas Souček, who was fantastic in the restart. He was fantastic. Him and Mikel Antonio were their two best players, hands down. So having him back for the entire season is going to be a benefit for them. And the manager, who I'm not the biggest David Moyes fan, but he managed to kind of get them together for the last 5 games of the season and really sort of make that push to stay up. They lost the last game of the year, but it didn't matter. They were already fine. But I mean, they only finished with 39 points. It's not good. They lost 19 fucking games. It's gross. It's gross. But I mean, the last 5 matches of the year, 2 draws and 2 wins and a loss. I mean, that was enough to keep them up. That's exactly what they needed. So it'll be, it's one of those things that what they need to do. That they need to improve in certain areas. So it's tough to imagine them being able to do that, given that they they just haven't done anything. And part of the reason is, they want to sell players in order to fund purchases to improve the team. So that's where Grady Diangana came in, who was, everybody on the team was raving about how great he was playing. He went to West Brom last year on loan and was fantastic. Fantastic. And he helped that team win the championship playoff to get promoted. So, the 2 preseason games that he played in, the players were raving about him, saying how great he was. He made 2 dynamic passes in a preseason match to Sebastian Haller, set him up for goals. And it was one of those things where you watch and you're like, wow, this is what this could be. It'd be terrific. However, he was the only sort of sought after player that they have that they were willing to sell, and they sold him at a cut rate price. A cut rate price to a club who they're going to have to compete with now to stay up. West Brom, who is managed by their former manager. So it's one of these, it's a whole sort of swirling of shit. And, they're making a play for a defender whose name I can't remember at the moment, but who has said that he doesn't want to go there. The family doesn't want to go to London, so he's going to reject every move. And they've come back twice with different offers, somehow thinking that this guy's going to change his fucking mind. It's like, look, move on. Build a bridge, move on. So now, they're always going to get connected to these bums. Like, they were talking about Shane Duffy. And it's like, look, Shane Duffy's a decent player, a decent center back, but is that what they need? No. And even Shane Duffy's like, nah, fuck you. I'm going to Celtic instead. Fucking Shane Duffy has the balls to fucking turn down a London-based Premier League club. Yeah, he does. Because we're fucking run by idiots. So it's going to be exceptionally difficult. One, to maintain interest, really, throughout the season. I mean, I know that they're going to lose tomorrow. At the very least, they're not going to win. If they get a point out of it, I'll be thrilled. But they're not going to win tomorrow. Like, Newcastle is better than them. My guess is that Andy Carroll scores 2 goals late, and it'll be a 2-2 draw. That's my my hot take. But it'll be fun. I've come to thoroughly enjoy the Premier League, and I've thoroughly come to enjoy soccer / football way more over the course of the last 5 years. So I'm looking forward to this season. I'm really looking forward to the next 4 weeks to see how the transfer window plays out, to see if West Ham actually does anything. Like I said, they're trying to sell a couple of players, and my guess is that they're going to be picky about what they get for certain players. But at this point, they have no room to be picky. If you take losses on guys, you may as well just fucking suck it up and take what you can get in order to make some money to improve your club. So But that's it. That's it for the show. A hastily thrown together preview episode that no one's gonna listen to anyway. So who the fuck cares? Except for me. I enjoy talking into microphones. Weird, huh? Hopefully this new mic doesn't sound like shit. Hopefully the movement of the chairs doesn't pick up all the time, but anyway, that'll do. Listen, enjoy the season. Come on, you irons. And until next time, Godspeed. Ta-ta.